This is my friend Sam. Sam bought a used shake weight from a thrift store. This has nothing to do with the rest of the episode. Hey friends and family, it's your boy Uncle Rich and I bought a wrecked BMW i8. A lot of you are cringing at the fact that I said I own a BMW i8, which is the world's most hated supercar. It's not a supercar, Rich. Well, it's my supercar, okay? In an article in 2016, Tavares said, "This car is on another wavelength. It's the car of tomorrow. There is no other vehicle that feels like this when you accelerate at speed. Launching this car feels like you're in a goddamn centrifuge." I am sick of defending this car, okay? It's like having an ugly girlfriend, and you know she's ugly. Your friends know she's ugly. She knows she's ugly. Even her parents know she's ugly. And I forgot the point I was trying to make. But every other comment is, "Your car sucks, man. Hey, the i8 sucks, bruh. It's not good at anything, man. That's what I read on the internet." So Rich did some investigation. Alright, these car experts, let's see what superior automobile this guy drives. So I did some digging, and you know what he drove?
Bad news.
What?
The Dacia Sandero.
King Dacia Sandero. And the other guy? It's powered by gas, it's a hybrid, still a nice car. I looked that guy up. He drives a base Model 3 short range in black. Brother, please, you drive the cheapest Model 3 ever made. You don't even have a voice at the table. You're the guy that waited a year for the cheapest one just to flex in your apartment complex, you piece. Either way, I'm also going to turn it into a show car, a car I wouldn't mind holding hands with in public. You see, most i8 owners have no idea how to make their cars look good, so they do things like wrap it in rust color, or they'll do something like this that never made any sense, but that's not me, okay? I love my little Prius. So shortly after I got the car, I did a little shopping. Now, I clearly need a new hood, and looking at this video here, this car got jacked up. I'll need an entire knee setup, caliper, rotor, shock, spring, upper and lower control arms. This thing got jacked up. It even looks like I'm going to need a new rim and tire as well. So I have to finish this i8 soon, but at the same time, I also have to shop for the holiday season for all my kids. And the only thing worse than having zero time and zero ideas for gifts is having zero money to buy said gifts. There's a new online marketplace called Zebit fixing that. They have a good marketplace and products available with zero interest, zero fees, and zero cost to join. Just choose a product you love and only pay a small portion at checkout. The rest you can pay over time with 0% interest. For example, I have a friend that owns a Tesla Model 3, and he wears white jeans, so these Apple AirPods here will complete his look perfectly. More importantly, I have to shop for my kids. Little Antonio is getting an Apple Watch for Christmas. Juliana is getting an iPhone 10 for no reason. She already has one. I just want her to have two. I have 3 sets of girl twins with all the same name. Fernanda are all getting Surface Pros. Let's make that quantity 6. My triplet sons, Carlos, and Carlos are getting cameras. They want to be YouTubers just like their dad, so they're all getting Canon T7Is and a G7X Mark II times 3. For last minute holiday shopping, there's no better option, and when it's too late to ship something, Zebit gives you the instant access to gift certificates from dozens of your favorite brands and stores like Nike, Macy's, Old Navy, and Foot Locker. So on top of the gifts, the kids will also be getting Foot Locker gift cards because Uncle Rich's kids need shoes. Whether you're knocking your list out ahead of time or scribbling for something last minute like myself, with Zebit, you're one click away from a great holiday gift. Visit Zebit.com/richrebuilds and get up to $2,500 of interest-free credit. Thank you, Zebit, for sponsoring this episode. Now, taking all that stuff out, you can see the axle got ripped out too, so I'll need pretty much everything. Now, the carbon fiber looks to be intact, because if that got hit, I'd be kind of screwed because I'd have to buy $15 worth of ramen noodles to fix it. So let's do a little shopping here. I need a new hood, and looking at these hood prices, $2,000 for a used hood is not happening. And it's not even carbon fiber? No thank you. Stop playing. I'm not about that life. Now, you know what? I need an axle as well, and $1,300 for an axle I'm also not interested in paying. How about this one here? $800, not great, but I can do that. I'm also able to find an orange hood off of a wrecked i8 for half off, and in the next episode, I'm going to show you what a $1,000 BMW i8 hood looks like. Now, the rear driver's taillight got smashed into pieces as well, so I got to find a new one. Let's see how much they go for. 77, what? How much? No, are you not well? That's not going to happen. So I found this other one that had a small imperfection for $280. That sounds much better. However, there's one thing that's a pretty big concern for me. This tab right here, this broken mount is part of the subframe for the i8 that holds the rear engine in. Going on eBay, unfortunately, this subframe is $2,000, and I'm not paying that. So let's go ahead and see if we can fix this. This doesn't seem horrible to fix. I think it could be welded, but have you seen my welding? Because I've seen my welding, and I'm not welding that. So I call over my friend who's a professional welder to see if he can fix it. Let's see how. He actually did a really good job with these welds right here. This is lined up perfectly. So actually when this control arm goes in, it should be fine. Now the biggest question is how well will this thing align? So I'm actually gonna bring this to the electrified garage. I'm gonna put it on the alignment rack, and there's actually a setting that they have to make sure that a vehicle's frame or overall body structure is straight. So I can't wait to use that feature. There's a couple other miscellaneous things that I have to do here as well. Number one is this brake. I have to remove this old brake and put the new hardware in. As you can see, that's fully extended. This thing is all beat to death. It's broken in pieces. I actually had to end up cutting it out of the wheel. The next interesting thing I have to do is remove this axle. That's the broken axle that's still inside of the transmission. That's gonna be interesting to remove because underneath here is an aluminum underbody shield, which is held together by a lot of different hardware. So I don't wanna remove that because there's a lot of bolts in there, but I actually would like to go from the back and see if I can actually pry it from behind. So I'm removing that. But overall, this looks relatively simple. Now that I've cleaned it up and removed everything, I removed the actual shock hat itself. That's out of there. Everything else is starting to come together pretty nicely. I'm really pumped that this is all set. That was the biggest part of actually a lot of this is just getting it out of the way and actually figuring out whether or not this car is gonna work or not. I'm not really sure. It's been sitting for a long time. The battery's been sitting. I'm not really sure what the state of charge was, but overall, I'm just pumped to get this thing started. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna attempt to actually get the rest of this out. Now looking at the welding, we put the lower control arm back in place to make sure we have the spacing right, but all in all, this is a good welding job. It's actually much stronger and thicker than the factory welds, and if you look at a lot of the factory welds are much thinner and only welded on one side. This looks pretty damn good, much better than I could have ever done, so thank you, shout out to Giovanni at 8 Mobile Welding for stopping by. Now that it's in, let's focus on the 300 other issues with the car. If we put our focus on this axle, obviously it's broken off in there, but now I need to get good leverage to pull this axle out. I can't get a pry bar in there, so I'll have to remove the aluminum under tray to get access to remove that axle. Now before I get too crazy here, let's just make sure I'm not gonna die. So I'm gonna check out my BMW i8 manual that I got from eManual online. This thing's a lifesaver. Get this, I paid literally under $30 for this. For 30 bucks, I had the entire repair manual for my BMW. This thing is worth its weight in gold. Check this out. I put in my VIN and bam, everything. Let me go to the axle section and it seems pretty straightforward. It's all here step by step because I'm not familiar with this car. Having this exact service manual that BMW uses is very helpful in case I run into any snags. You'll be seeing more of this manual in the next part of the series. I'll be referencing this thing again, but if you want 20% off pretty much any repair manual you could think of, use my code in the description box below for eManual Online.
Okay, so this is what I was referring to in terms of getting these out. So if you look here, there's a lot of debris in this and I really can't get the tool that I need to remove that. So I'm gonna be sitting here for a while scratching and scraping this until I get the rest of this out. So it's almost like a cement mixture that's in there. That's a lot of road debris, a lot of grime, and it looks like little bitty pieces of steel are stuck in there. Almost like this car was dragged onto something at some point, like maybe either fresh concrete or rocks or who knows what, but this is definitely hard in there. So I've been scraping at this for a little bit, trying to get the rest of this out. And this is a very awkward position because I only have about 6 inches of space or so between me and my elbow that's constantly hitting this panel right here. But either way, I'm gonna keep grinding at this and keep going and try to loosen these bolts at the bottom of the car, and hopefully it gets the top a little bit easier to pull down so I can get access to that, to the remainder of the axle that's there. Now that I did that, let's take a closer look in here. There's a lot of debris on top of this, but that's no really big deal. Now, here's what I want to get access to. I want to get access to this right here, the actual axle. I want to be able to pop that out. I think I could actually pull this down low enough, hopefully without bending it too much, to pop that out. Because what I'm noticing a little bit further down here is that a lot of those bolts are kind of sheared off. It almost looks like when the forks were actually picking this thing up, they may have scraped a few of the heads of those bolts off. But I'll see if I could peel this down a little bit more and get the pry bar in there and get that out. You know what, I said screw it. I just took the whole under tray out. I was trying to be lazy, but that really didn't work out in my favor. So I took the entire under tray out, and now you get a pretty decent shot of what it's like under a BMW i8. This is what it looks like. These are the two axle shafts right here. This is for the passenger side rear, and over here is one that broke off. So it's a matter of me trying to get access to this, but again, the clearance here is next to nothing. There really isn't much space here at all. Again, I'm back on this crap again where I'm working on cars in confined spaces. I probably should have taken it to the electrified garage to get it pried out. This would have taken all of 15 minutes, but that's definitely not off the table. Again, this is a ton of the debris that was caught up here, and a lot of this stuff is what causes NVH, like noise and just general like harshness of the car when you hear rocks underneath it. A lot of it's just kind of stuff shuffling around under this. So what I need to do is, I don't know if I'm going to either drill some holes here and get a slide hammer and try to pull it out that way, or get a shorter pry bar and try prying that out. But that doesn't look like it's going to be that big of a deal at all. If I could actually wedge something in here and get a hammer and start tapping that out, that'd be the ideal scenario. So right now, I just have my my weighted hammer and literally a wedge. What's that wedge? Yeah, here you go. Oh, sorry. And this wedge right here, so I've been kind of putting it right in between that axle, just getting a hammer and just tapping that in, and combined with me actually trying to make sure that this doesn't go over my face. Coming out. It's coming out. Okay. Okay, I think that's officially out. I'm just gonna pull this out slightly, and nice. It actually came right out. It's not bad. All right, let's get the new one in. Check underneath to see how far that went in. That's gone in pretty far. That's actually as far as it'll go. Yeah, I'm seeing where the axle actually widens so that it's fully secured and it's in there. And once I get on the other side and I actually start tightening up the rotor and caliper and that full assembly, that's actually going to push that in further. So I think this is a pretty good stopping point for tonight. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to figure out the rest of the braking system tomorrow.
So awesome, got the axle out, and the one I bought on eBay earlier is the one that I actually used in this video. This is the first purchase I've made to repair the car so far. As for the rear, buying all the pieces individually would cost me about $5,000, but I was able to find a used complete rear knee on eBay for $2,500. It includes the shock, strut, caliper, rotor, and the control arms. After the knee, so far I'm into the car for a little over $3,000. Let's move to the front of the car while we wait for those parts to come in. Alright, so we're going to do some decent work to the i8 today. As you can see, this front cover right here is all cracked, so I have to replace that. And I'm not really sure how to get that out without getting this front crash bar out, so I'm pretty sure the crash bar has to come out. But either way, so I have some parts right here. You can see I have to undo those four bolts rather, on that side. And there's going to be another 4 on that side as well. And if you look carefully, it looks like this was pulled up a little bit right here. So that's the hinge point that's used for the actual hood. So that's the hood that goes up and down. And it looks like this mounting point got pulled up a little bit when this front end was pushed in. It also looks like this aluminum bar right here that forms support for the front bumper also got pushed in, so I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. I don't think I have to replace this. I don't think it's necessary. That's not structural. This is just the beam that kind of holds the radiator in place. I don't see any visible leaks anywhere, so I think the radiator is fine. When this car was pulled up onto the trailer, I looked underneath and I really didn't see anything that looks suspicious underneath. Before I pulled this bar out, it looks like this headlight, actually that's not mounted there at all. That's just kind of like a spacer to keep that in place. So that's actually not going to be that bad. So I really think the only thing I have to worry about that's connected to that front beam is just really these hinges right here. So if I undo this on this side, I could probably unbolt the whole thing and slide the majority of it forward. So I have to do those two down there as well. So those two, I have to undo this one. What I'm going to start doing, I'm going to start loosening it up and kind of shaking it around and see what it is. But That's really all I have to do to get that out. Then I forgot I have my e-manual service manual, so I decided to actually read it. All right, so now in my infinite wisdom, while taking things apart, I realized that this is a newer vehicle and they have a different way of doing things. So I thought I had to undo these bolts right back here, but it turns out I don't. It turns out there's only 2 bolts that hold this crash bar in. So I removed the horn, and there's a bolt that goes about right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It goes about right here, and that's actually what holds this entire bar in. So only 2 bolts hold this whole bar in. This makes my life a lot easier. So you look on this corresponding side, that's the other bolt right here, right under the horn, that holds that in. It's actually a relatively short bolt as well, but this should be pretty easy, just popping that out, and I'll be able to replace that plastic piece pretty easily. So that's awesome. Okay, awesome. Let that out. Now I'm starting to realize that the headlights are 10 times easier to remove without that crash bar in place. Well, boys and girls, that's the end of episode 2. There's only 1 episode left to complete this build. The car will be done next episode. We'll be covering lots of ground. We'll see what a $1,000 BMW i8 hood looks like. The knuckle comes in. It's getting wrapped with new wheels. I'll be eating more Popeye's chicken. This is going to be a show car by next episode. Check me on Instagram at RichieBKid, and I will see you all soon.